Hey guys, welcome back to The Mind of Brandon. Today we're going to be talking about how to implement a resource-based global economy. So I of course did not come up with this idea of the resource-based global economy. I got the idea from the Venus Project, which was co-founded by Jacques Fresco and Roxanne Meadows. That being said, I've heard all sorts of criticisms of the Venus Project in this direction that they advocate. And usually when I hear these criticisms, I'm kind of the attitude that people don't really have an adequate understanding of what it is they're opposing. You know, maybe they just haven't done enough research, or other people are just doing a bad job of relaying the information to them. Maybe, yeah, so it just kind of seems like maybe people are just kind of misunderstanding this, or there's certain things they're not putting into perspective. That being said, one of the criticisms that I don't disagree with is that the Venus Project has been a little bit vague about the transition. How do we actually get from the present system into a resource-based global economy? How do we implement a resource-based global economy? That being said, I do believe that the Venus Project has an idea of some sort in mind, and that it is their intention to demonstrate that idea, to demonstrate how we can do a resource-based global economy, how we can implement that. They want to use a... Hey, cat! Cat at my legs. They want to do a full-length major motion picture that demonstrates how we can implement a resource-based global economy. So, that being said, I don't really have any high expectations that this film will ever happen. It's not unrealistic. It could, but basically, there's other people working on their own transition plans since the Venus Project has been a bit vague about how to go about doing that, and that includes me. I have been working on my own transition plan. So today, I am going to be talking about how I think, it's a way that we could implement a resource-based global economy. If you don't like it, don't hold the Venus Project accountable. It's not their fault. This is an idea I came up with, okay? They came up with the resource-based economy. I came up with the transition model that you're going to see today. So, how do we do it? How do we go from the present system to one where machines are doing all the jobs that nobody wants to do? Nothing costs any money. Everyone has access to food, clothing, shelter, medicine, education, transportation, entertainment, plumbing, electricity. We've rid the world of war, crime, poverty, starvation, slavery, overpopulation, pollution, racism, sexism. How do we do it? So it's actually totally possible that Fresco will frown on this idea, but I think it's realistic to envision a transition system where we kind of baby step our way from the present system into the resource-based economy. Don't get me wrong, there might be some bigger steps in there here or there, especially the first step. I mean, the first step, we need to implement the intelligent management of the earth and its resources, okay? Easier said than done, of course. What does that mean? Well, it means that instead of relying so heavily on these scarcer resources that we're depleting faster than we can mine them, instead of depending so heavily on those, we switch to alternative renewable resources. We want to depend more on renewable resources, reusable resources, recyclable resources, resources that can be produced in abundance, okay? Resources that we know how to make more of in mass abundance, okay? Now, I already did a video talking about the cannabis plant. Can cannabis save the world? Okay, that is a great example of a resource that can be produced in abundance. And we established that pretty much anything that we use, deforestation or petroleum for, we can actually use the cannabis plant for that. You can use cannabis for making a plastic. You can use it for oil, you can use it. Yeah, you can use it for oil. You can have hemp biomass fuel, right? Don't get me wrong. We don't want to depend completely only on hemp as a resource, but it's a great example of one that can be produced in mass abundance, and it's very useful. It's a very useful resource. So yeah, we definitely want to realize George Washington's vision of sowing the hemp plant everywhere. Yes, that was George Washington's vision. Um, he did grow hemp, by the way, for those of you who are not aware of that. But anyway, yeah, we also want to take advantage of the abundance of geothermal power that's already available, the abundance of solar power that's already available, the abundance of wind power that's already available, the wave power, right? So yeah, there's plenty of alternative renewable resources that already exist in abundance. It's just a matter of getting the systems in place to get that energy to the people, and to stop relying so heavily on the resources that we're depleting that are actually harming the environment. Okay. So yeah, we got to pay these companies. We got to pay the people who are mining this stuff, pay the people who are selling this stuff, pay them to get into a different business. Okay. So who is it exactly that's going to be paying these companies to get into a different business? The banks. The banks will be paying them. Okay, we're gonna have to like pass a law to like either reform the banking system or just get a whole new one, depending on depending on how cooperative the bank is supposed to be. I don't see why the present banking system would have a problem with this. It basically gives them fucking governmental power. But anyway, yeah. So we'd be giving the bank the okay the okay to go ahead and just make all sorts of money out of thin air and give it to these companies with the understanding that what you're doing is you're getting into a different kind of business. You're not mining for oil anymore. You're not. This isn't about burning ozone depleting fossil fuels anymore. We're getting out of the business of these scarce resources that are so bad for the environment. We're getting into using the alternative renewable resources. Okay. And so, yeah, they're being paid to get into that business. And so, on top of that, we also want to pay everyone else. Okay, everyone needs to be paid more money by this new banking system. Okay, so one of the things that I've heard Bernie Sanders talking about that I was kind of not too sure of, he's talking about higher taxes for the rich people. Basically, it sounds like he's basically talking about taking money from the rich and giving it to the poor or something like that. I don't like that idea. Let's just give everyone more money. Give the poor more money, give the middle class more money, give the rich more money, give everyone more money. So like what I have in mind is like homeless people can be rounded up by the police, and they get set up with these like banking accounts, these new banking accounts where they just have a bunch of money like $50,000 or something like that, just sitting in their accounts already, and they just that they have the police get them set up with like new apartments, places to live, that sort of thing, and yeah, they're basically every year their accounts are just filled with 50,000 more bucks. That happens annually. They get 50,000 more bucks every year. And so, theoretically, it's enough to sustain them for that year until their next installment of 50,000 bucks. And so, yeah, it's not just poor people though. We do that for the middle class. We do that for the rich people. So the rich people will also be given $50,000 a year. Okay, why are we giving money to the rich people? Aren't they rich enough? Because we want to do a system that everybody wants. We want to appeal to everyone. Okay, you don't want to screw over the rich for the sake of the poor. Fuck that. I mean, the rich fucking work hard, believe it or not. No, I'm not a rich person. I live with my fucking mom. But I know about entrepreneurships, like the hard work that people put into starting their own businesses. There's no reason to take money from them to give it to other people who are just fucking clueless about that kind of stuff and don't know what they're fucking doing. So give money to everyone is what I say. Okay. In the process, this means that people will be quitting their jobs. There will be all sorts of people who realize, well, why am I working this shitty job if I can just have money given to me, right? $50,000 a year just given to me. That's enough to sustain me at this apartment and pay these bills, etc. You get my food, clothing, shelter, medicine, education, transportation, entertainment, plumbing, electricity. Why do I even need a job, right? So since that is a thing, we will certainly want to be funding automation projects so that the jobs that no one wants to do become automated. In that process, there actually will be more people who will be fired. Okay, they'll be let go because their jobs will be taken by machines. Those people who lose those jobs need to be continued to be paid. Okay, they need they need severance. Okay, but a better severance than anything we'd have in the present system. So basically, it's what we'd be looking at is what was their average earnings for the past year, and then that just becomes added on top of the $50,000 a year that is being given to them by the bank. There's now even more that reflects what they were making before they got laid off their job. Okay, that's going to be continually paid to them, even though they no longer have a job. They continue to get the same kind of money that they were making at that job on top of what they're getting from the bank. So, yeah, it's a system that's intended to take into consideration the resource issue. We want to be paying companies to use better alternative renewable resources. We want to be paying the poor, to help get them off the street. We want to be paying, the middle class. We want to be paying rich people. Just make everyone happy. Okay. Now, one of the problems a lot of people are gonna just kind of assume, because I haven't given enough detail yet, inflation. You give all these people all this money, and it's gonna be pointless. Well, that's why we want to pass a law saying nobody's allowed to raise prices. Nobody's allowed to raise prices. What prices are when the law passes, that's where they stay. You can lower prices, but no raising them. And if there's any businesses that suffer losses because of that, we were doing so well, and then something happened for whatever reason, and now we're losing money, and we should be able to raise prices, but we can't because of the law. Well, then they could just take that issue to the bank, and then the bank can compensate them. Here, what are your estimated losses? Show us the data that supports that. Okay, here you go. Here's your money. Okay, here's your compensation for what you lost because of this law, right? So it's there to take care of people. Okay, it's a system that's there to take care of people. It's a system that's there to take care of the earth. Okay, this is just the transition system that I'm talking about here. And so once we get to a point where we're not relying so heavily on those scarcer resources that we're depleting faster than we can mine them, and they're bad for the environment anyway, and we start using alternative, more renewable resources that are available in more abundance and better for the environment, and we start giving homes to the homeless and automating all the jobs that nobody wants to do, well, it's around then that it makes sense to start implementing fresco city designs, to start building these automated, self-sustaining cities. They have those access centers where people can go check things out without a price tag. Okay, so it's a system that uses money. Okay, there's money going into building these cities. We have to pay organizations, pay people that are mining resources, etc. So when we're building these cities, it's still a monetary system, but the cities that we are building are designed to be, automated cities where things can be produced without a price tag. Okay, so people can go down to their access center, check out this, that, or whatever. The access center works kind of like a public library. Library, of course, can check out books, music, DVDs. You don't have to really pay for them. Just check them out, send them back when you're done with them. Yeah, so the access center is kind of like that, except there's no overdue fees. If you check something out, you can hang on to it indefinitely or send it back, depending on what you'd rather do. And that's why it's important that we do intelligently manage the earth and its resources, that we rely more on alternative, renewable, reusable, recyclable resources. Because, you know, a system where we're just kind of making things available to whoever and they don't even have to return them and share them if they don't want to, you know, yeah, it'd be good to be intelligently managing our resources in that situation, you know, because we don't want to be wasteful. Okay, so we also want to reform the education system, make sure that people have a more relevant education, not just having their heads packed full of fluff that they're not interested in any way. Encouraging students to pursue their own interests, you know, to allow them to pursue their own interests, to branch out into other fields of interest, okay? So not just chaining them down, this is what you have to learn. No, let them pursue their own interests. And, you know, really encourage them to take interest in things and, you know, pursue their passions and, yeah, giving them relevant training for the system, you know, training them in the relevant skills. Okay, that's one of the main failings, I think, of the present education system, or at least the education system as it was when I went through it. Yeah, there was really just packing too much fluff into people's heads, stuff that they weren't even all that interesting in, didn't seem all that useful. Like, when is this going to come in handy? And yeah, just kind of forcing us, you know, chaining us down to this subject or that, when what we really wanted to talk about was, what we really wanted to learn about was some other thing. And so, like, it was interesting when I graduated high school. It's like suddenly I have all this freedom. I can pursue my own interests. I don't have to be chained down to these other subjects that the schools are forcing upon me. So that's just, yeah, that's some important data to keep in mind about how to properly run an education system. It's interesting to think about. It's ironic that educators don't even know how to properly educate. The education system is not set up to properly educate. It's more of a subjugation system. It's there to teach kids how to follow orders and do what they're told, right? But yeah, anyway, so yeah, in all probability, there's some things I neglected to talk about, but I think that this pretty much does a good job of giving the gist of how we can implement the resource-based global economy. I'm sure there's plenty of details that I've neglected to talk about that I perhaps should. But yeah, you guys are my peer reviewers. It's up to you to, you know, poke holes in it or say, oh, you should have talked about this, or ask me about that, or critique it or whatever. You know, this probably isn't going to be the last video I do on the subject. It's certainly not going to be the best video that can be done on the subject. But yeah, it is what it is. It's kind of rushed. Let me know what you guys think. Give it a thumbs up. Share it with other people. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Again, peer review this stuff. And I hope to see you all in the next one. So have a good one, guys, and peace.